All right, we have got some big changes coming to Finn, and I have to say I'm apprehensive about this, but the biggest thing I'm going to say out the gate is let's try to see what this looks like once it's actually in the game, and then I'm going to reserve a lot of my judgment until I actually see what this looks like in practice, but I will say I'm very apprehensive, and the reason why, for anyone who hasn't actually gone through and read this post yet, there's been an infinite loop in raids dealing with Zeta Finn in the tank raid and in the Sith Triumvirate raid. Now, Finn is a character a lot of us hold very near and dear to our hearts. He was one of my first Zetas. He was probably one of yours if you've been playing this game long enough. And instead of, adjusting Finn's interaction in raids, the devs have decided to give Finn a full-blown rework, which is probably what explains why this took so long. Now, there are parts of this rework that don't look bad. It looks like he's going to be bringing more damage to the table, but the major nerf here, and again, it remains to be seen once we see how this character actually interacts. Maybe this isn't so much a nerf and it really is a true rework, but his turn meter gain that he gives to resistance is definitely getting nerfed substantially. And so, I mean, if you look at Finn's ability here, balanced tactics is his current Zeta ability, and let's see, resistance allies gain 30% offense, 30% defense, and all other allies gain half that amount. That's going to pretty much stay the same, only it's going to make it 60% across the board. And whenever a resistance ally uses foresight, they get advantage, blah blah blah, and reduce cooldown. Where's the third? Okay, so reduce the cooldowns on all resistance allies when you hit exposed by 1 and grant them 35% turn meter. Now, one thing I do have to admit in this clause here about 35% turn meter, that's a freaking ton of turn meter gain. And I don't think we've seen very many characters that can bring that much turn meter gain to the table in recent years. I think BB-8 can do quite a bit with a bunch of droids, but that's just so much 35% turn meter gain. I will admit, if the devs were to release a character right now, I don't think they would do that, and so maybe it did need to be adjusted, but to me, literally the only place I can think of Finn being an issue is the raids. He's not meta in arena. He had some pretty good interactions with C-3PO and was definitely able to handle some Revan teams, but he was getting sliced through on offense, which was always the case for him, or when he was on defense. And so I struggle to see the need. But again, let's wait and see what this looks like. And so here's the post from Top Hats. I'm not going to read all this to you. You guys have had a chance to do that. But the TLDR here, well, he gives us a TLDR. To address the Finn 3PO Infinite Loop, we've reworked Finn. We have updated Finn's leader ability, adding ramping damage to his kit, which I do like, I will admit, and given him a new unique buff, Determination. Okay, so let's talk about some of these changes. So here's some of that ramped up damage. So on Finn's basic now crack shot, he is going to deal physical damage, and the attack deals 5% more damage for each time the target has been struck by it. And so that's going to be 20% more damage for each time the target has been struck once you fully upgrade that ability, which I think everyone's probably going to have this ability fully upgraded. Special number on Hold the Line is where that unique buff comes in. And I do like the rework on this ability. He's going to, let's see, all resistance allies recover 20% health and protection. Oh, let me get that on the screen. Resistance allies recover 20% health and protection. So he's turned into a pretty decent healer. 20% health and protection is nice. Finn gets at his advantage. He gains taunt from this ability now. So he is now a taunting tank, truly. He was able to taunt, but it was kind of hard to trigger before. And Determination for 2 turns. Now, and also dispels, so he's a cleanser now too. He dispels all debuffs from all allies. So, again, I'm not sure if I like what feels like a nerf to me, but this is a buff. And so there's kind of a give and take here with this rework of Finn that I think the devs are throwing our way. And so I do really want to wait and see what's this going to look like in the live game once the change hits. And Determination is pretty neat. Whenever a resistance ally falls below 50% health, Determination expires and Finn gains taunt for 2 turns. If that ally was taunting, it is dispelled. Finn! How many times are you in a situation where Finn is taunting because you get exposes from it, and he's not really that tanky, and Finn gets taken out, and there's nothing you do about it? So that, to me, almost feels like a direct call out to Finn in many ways. Finn is gonna, or to Poe, Finn is going to help Poe out here. He's gonna help a bro out. When determination expires, Finn gains retribution for 2 turns. And so he's going to gain taunt and retribution. So you're going to be forced to attack him, and he is going to counter. And remember, his basic now is going to do more damage. And so the more that you hit him, or the more he hits you, the worse it will be for you. And 20% more damage each time, that could stack pretty nicely for Finn. And it almost makes me wonder why we want to use his special takedown. But let's see, what is takedown going to do? It's still going to have the expose, it's still going to have the stun chance. Stun for 1 turn. This attack deals 60% more damage each time the target has been struck by it. Doubled for raid bosses. Okay, so as you can see here, give and take. Now let's see what they changed with balanced tactics. Resistance allies have 60% defense, 60% offense, and potency. And if I recall right, in his leader ability before, we didn't have that potency, right? We had 30% offense, so we got a lot more offense coming to the table with this. 6% defense, and all of the allies gain half that amount. There's no potency gain, so we're also going to have a better chance of landing these exposes. 60% is a lot. And so, again, I don't know how I feel about how much turn meter we're going to nerf here, but they're giving us a lot in return here that gives me optimism for what this is going to look like. And so going back to this, so all the potency, all allies gain half that amount, non-resistance allies, that is. Each time they are damaged by an exposed enemy, resistance allies gain 3% turn meter, and the target enemy loses 5% turn meter for each resistance ally. So we're kind of flipping the script here. All the resistance allies are going to cause, and that wasn't there before, right? Just reviewing this again, I don't remember turn meter reduction involved. It was just the gain, but it was so much that it almost felt like you just stalled them. So yeah, so now you're going to have that turn meter loss. And that's 5%, so 25%, assuming you're running a full resistance team. Damaging an exposed enemy also reduces resistance allies cooldowns by 1, so we're still keeping that. And then there's a big spiel here that's going through kind of the justification on the changes and some ideas of how you might use them. So overall, my thoughts on this, I'm a little apprehensive because to me, it kind of feels like we went from 0 to 100 here from we've got a raid issue and now we're going to just totally rework the character. But at the same time, with how much offense Finn is bringing to the table now and the increased potency, sure, there's less turn meter gain, but there's a lot more utility, a lot more healing, which is probably a gap of Finn lead resistance teams. I do think this is going to be viable in different ways. Maybe he's not going to be able to beat Revan like he was before, but you know what? I don't know if that's going to matter so much anymore because look at what B1 is doing. I think Revan might be a thing of the past here before too long once Grievous hits. I haven't seen his kit yet with the rework, but looks like it's going to be crazy. So while I do have a if it ain't broke don't fix it mentality, the only broken part here was the raids, and I agree that did need to be addressed. This to me looks like it could actually be a good thing for Finn, and probably your B team resistance squads in Grand Arena, in Territory Wars, that kind of thing, because there's just more survivability, more offense, some pretty good synergy with Finn there, or with Poe there, and so I'm cautiously optimistic about that. I would definitely encourage you guys. I know I was reading comments on my stream here right before I started filming this video, a lot of very apprehensive comments, and so I just encourage you, let's wait and see what this looks like, because with how much damage that's bringing to the table, it could just be a different flavor of why we like Finn. Although I will really miss all of that turn meter gain. That was just so fun when you got it to work. Right. So, what are your thoughts about this? How do you feel about it? Do you have a Zeta fin? Or what do you think this is going to work with? Are you happy about it? Sad about it? Give me all your thoughts and feelings down in the comments below. And thanks so much for joining me for the video, my friends. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, my brothers, don't forget
my dead body. Sorry about the mess.